Welcome back to Newsday. Nigeria, like the rest of the world, is experiencing a significant transformation in the communication landscape. Advent of artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the way we produce, consume, and interact with information. This revolution has far-reaching implications for the media, marketing, and advertising industries in the country. On the one hand, AI has enhanced the growth of the media in Nigeria. Experts have argued that the AI and communication revolution in the country is a double-edged sword. While it presents significant opportunities for growth, innovation, and development, it also poses challenges related to job displacement, misinformation, and privacy concerns, as they conclude that it is crucial to prioritize responsible AI adoption, invest in media literacy and digital skills, as well as ensure that the benefits of AI are equitably distributed. Joining us now is Iyinolakan, co-founder and chief executive of CDial.ai, an innovative AI research lab dedicated to revolutionizing communication across Africa. It's good to have you with us on Newsday.
A pleasure being here.
All right, so how can AI revolutionize communication and accessibility in Nigeria? We can use your concept regarding this.
We have existing wicked problems on the continent, and especially in Nigeria, the largest country, the one with most languages, 400 plus languages, right? Often we have conflict every day because we don't understand each other. Many parts of the world previously have been able to figure it out because technologies exist that help for translation and mediate communications, but that's not the case. And AI presents a huge opportunity for us to be able to all of a sudden teach in local languages or in a multilingual manner, or even be able to communicate with people at the last mile. And it's a great opportunity that we must not let go by.
Okay. And so can you explain what your AI solution is that you developed at CDial, and also the importance, how it can help us promote our language diversity and our cultural identity as Africans?
Fantastic. I grew up in a family where my father spoke Yoruba, my mother spoke Hausa, right? And they found a way to make it work. You run into little kids these days and they cannot speak local languages or speak with their grandparents. Right? What we built is a product called Indigenous. It's a play on the word indigenous. Indigenous AI, it supports multilingual communication in 13 African languages, most spoken African languages. What it does, it's like ChatGPT, but on the next level, knowing that the language is spoken on the continent. Many people cannot read and write them. So it's very important that, and we built a conversational AI, which means you can speak to the machine and it can mediate communication and you can hear back from it, which breaks all the barriers, right? Because all of a sudden, whoever you term illiterate has not really been illiterate. The internet is not just literate in their language, and it bridges that gap. The second thing that's very important is, people at home might say, hey, data connection and broadband is very expensive, or when you go to rural areas, it's not even accessible. We went further to provide that service, that even if you hold a feature phone, you can call a number and you're able to speak to an AI and it speaks your language, and that mediates for various industries, education, healthcare, even SMEs and startups can scale to the last mile where they've not been able to reach.
Okay, interesting innovation. Now, can you share examples of real-world applications where Indigenous has made impact and improving access to information and services?
Yeah, one of our clients, we've worked with the United Nations into translating on their website human rights declarations. We've worked with some financial services companies for their customer service. People might know this. When you call your bank right now or you call a service provider, you spend 2 minutes pressing 1 and 2, and then at some point you're told that you have to wait another 17 minutes. That's the average time a user has to wait. So you end up spending 30 minutes of your hard-earned time on the phone. And that's a use case that we're working with several companies right now, where they're lowering the customer support time from about 30 minutes to about 3 minutes, because AI mediates it, is able to mediate it and speak whatever language that the person speaks. He even speaks Nigerian English, the type that I speak. So the user is able to fully comprehend what the customer support is saying. Of course, we continue to grow to add more and more languages, but the only way is up. AI, as it operates in Silicon Valley and as it operates in the developed world, would be extremely different from how we operate in Africa. In Africa, it has to be hybrid, it has to be cheap, and it has to be inclusive and multilingual to the people.
Also reminds me of, when it comes to Google Maps, they're trying to have the Nigerian dialect
different on
that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, you just spoke about how it can reduce customer support time, but that also means there's this huge fear that AI is going to take people's jobs. Right, and we do in Africa, we have a very young population. Most of Africans are under the age of 18, and employment is already an issue. We have unemployment and underemployment, even particularly in Nigeria. Now, how do you feel that AI is going to affect the young people of Africa, particularly when it comes to employment?
AI is going to help young people take a quantum leap. Right, young people primarily right now operate on digital devices. You can see content providers, you can see kids and how fixated they are to cartoons, right? But one of the reasons, there are more upsides for AI in Africa than anywhere else in the world. For many places in the world, it seems like a nice to have, right? Which is augmenting what exists already. There are many, like I said earlier, wicked problems that we've not solved. Now, it might take some jobs, which obviously when the world started riding cars from horses, horse riders or horse cart drivers lost their jobs, but they had to retrain to be car and chauffeurs. So with AI and with how accessible it is, will help these people learn new skills so that they can get better paying jobs. If you're scared about taking away customer support jobs, they are in great pain. You know, the conversation right now is about minimum wage, and probably that's what they earn. But with AI, the upside is that they're able to gather more skills and get higher paying jobs, not only in Nigeria, but across the world based on their skills. So there's so many upsides for young people across Nigeria, but it's very important that the businesses who are implementing these AI tools have robust strategies, AI strategy, just like they plan for the year. Companies need to have 3 to 5 year AI plans that covers governance and responsible usage, just so that it would not eradicate jobs that fast without filling gaps on what will happen with the people who will take up these new roles.
Very good. Still on your company's drive, how does AI preserve and promote linguistic diversity and, of course, cultural heritage? You know, you talked about preservation and all that, but how do we achieve this?
Okay. In AI, we usually focus on text. But there is text, there is speech, there is computer vision, right? And the text and speech is only the surface, right? Our culture is very expressive and very oral in nature, right? With conversational AI that we've built and our language model that we built in 13 languages, we built it using something we call collective intelligence. So
Why restrict to 13 languages?
Because the 13 languages are the ones with more data.
Oh, okay.
So what are these languages?
Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. We consider Nigerian Pidgin a language, Swahili, Xhosa, Zulu, and we've got English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, which are spoken on the continent, and Arabic as well.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Were you inspired to do this because you grew up in a multilingual household, or what was the primary driver?
The inspiration is multi-layered. Of course, that's the early inspiration, but I got my PhD in this line of work because I'm so passionate about it. I think that this is the baseline for all the development that will happen in Africa, because we do not communicate with our neighbors. And if we're able to communicate with our neighbors, we trade more, we create more jobs and more opportunities. One other example is we talk about out-of-school children. So do we continue to build brick and mortar schools that are expensive, or do we build scalable solutions like this that kids can learn on devices that they're most excited about? Well, is it more expensive to buy 15 textbooks in mathematics, biology, and physics, or to buy a tab for a kid and fill it up with apps that help the kid learn? What's more scalable? And it is technology, and it is powered by AI, but not only AI, multilingual AI that speaks the mother tongue of that child.
So we're talking about youth unemployment in Africa. What are the prospects for AI? Yes, we already know, fintech and Generation Z and all that stuff happening right now. So, on the broader terms, what are your thoughts?
We need to massively train our people. And not everyone would be a software engineer. AI has several jobs along the pipeline for people. Prompt engineers, it has people who would offer support, people who would help implement for different businesses. There's a need for large-scale training from the schools. There's a need to stop offering certain subjects in our schools, right? Because the world is changing, and one of the hardest things to change in the world is to change curriculum in schools, right? But we need to train our people. The most important way to create jobs for our people, in my opinion, is vocational jobs, right? Because people control their destiny, it's skill-based, and AI is a way that we can provide that, because right now, a child has to learn English to learn math, right? And then has to learn Pythagoras, hypothesis, big words like that I don't even know the meaning for, right? So it's very important to mediate that our youth can learn basic skills fast enough and start working before they become destitute on the streets. And there's no better way to accelerate it than multilingual AI that we produce.
Definitely. I want to ask about how you feel the current government is handling AI and the inevitable future where AI will have a part in our lives. We've spoken about deep fakes, the propensity for fake news. The government has spoken about social media bills and all sorts of things. However, AI seems to be a huge part of our future, whether we like it or not. The Minister, Bosu Tijani, has come out and said that he's trying to develop an AI framework. But what do you think that policy-wise the government will need to do to both protect us from the AI future, but also propel us into it?
Okay, first off, I was part of the 120 plus people who converged to sort of work on the AI strategy in Abuja that was convened by the minister. I think it's a laudable step. A lot of people had criticism for it, saying, hey, people are hungry, and is AI the priority? But AI is an enabler for less people to get more people out of poverty, because then they can find jobs, they can find access to information. Now, about policy. We have to be careful about over-regulating a frontier technology, right? Many countries across the world are even established something they call sovereign LLMs, Singapore, Taiwan, where they don't have the giants like OpenAI, like Microsoft. The countries are resourcing and building their own language models that speak the language of their people. This might be the way for the government to go, to encourage companies like ours at CDIAL, or other companies to do it, because they probably do not have budgets for it at the moment. So by encouraging, getting us in the room like they have been doing, to set up policies but not restrict, because this technology, it morphs every day. So you have to have a dynamic policy that's able to cater for it. The second thing that the government can do right now is educating people, because scams with more AI assistance and without free and accessible it is, more people would be able to access it to run scams. So if there are trainings on how people can identify AI systems and AI models, then it would help people spot deepfakes. It would help people spot fake news. It would help people, be able to work with these technologies and not fear it, but use it to their advantage.
Iyinka, pretty interesting. You should mention the issue of overregulation. Yes, it's on a broad-based global scenario here. But this company, OpenAI, that you just mentioned, even had to make a public statement that it couldn't, there were some shortcomings in its operations, and it was also, might be akin to misinformation and some other defects as well. How does that instill confidence on would-be users of AI, briefly, in 1 minute?
Oh, we all make mistakes. And us geeks sometimes get too enthusiastic about, the solutions that we provide and job setting levels. So it's very important to have people who are gatekeepers. But the gatekeepers cannot fully be government and bureaucrats. The gatekeepers has to be the peers of these AI companies. They have to gatekeep and hold each other accountable, right? And when you make mistakes, you have to own up to it, which they did, right? So we can only learn from that and form consortiums where we as AI practitioners hold each other accountable faster than the government will. And if we continue to do that, to come together and not compete of that sort, but work together, we can make the world a better place. We will make some mistakes, but we would work towards greater and greater good. Think about it. Have people in this country at any point be able to communicate across ethnic lines? It hasn't happened, except there's a human translator who's open to bias. But with AI systems that are more open, like indigenous, that
AI is open to bias. Isn't it open to the bias of its inputs?
It is. It is open to bias,
Yes.
but it's based on the data it's trained on. But like I talked about consortiums, they're holding each other accountable to continue to learn. Feedback is what makes AI systems better.
No, definitely. Thank you very much.
Iyinka Iyinolakan, co-founder and chief executive CDial.ai. I'd like to thank you very much for your thoughts on this issue. It's good to have you with us.
A pleasure being here.